Are you sure you're right? People often wait for motivation before they start working.
Are you waiting for motivation? Or to be honest, are you waiting for some magical feeling to appear before you start working? Sound familiar? Many people believe in a very poetic logic. I will start when I feel motivated. It sounds reasonable, but unfortunately, the human brain doesn't work that way. This is a very common logical mistake. We think motivation equals action, but in reality, it is often action equals motivation. A simple example. You plan to exercise. You sit on the couch, scrolling your phone, waiting for inspiration. 5 minutes pass, 10 minutes pass, 30 minutes pass. The only thing increasing is your time watching cat videos. Because our brain prefers comfort first, not progress first. And when the brain sees something slightly difficult, it immediately produces a very reasonable excuse. I'm not motivated yet. It sounds thoughtful, but in reality, it is just a polite way for the brain to procrastinate. Look at disciplined people. They are not motivated all the time. People who go to the gym regularly don't wake up every morning thinking, wow, I'm so excited to lift weights today. Writers don't wake up every day thinking, great, I'm full of artistic inspiration today. Most of the time, they simply think, all right, let's just do 5 minutes. And here's the interesting part. When you start doing something, even for just 2 minutes, your brain begins to switch states. Resistance goes down. Focus begins to increase. Suddenly, the thing you were too lazy to do 10 minutes ago doesn't feel that difficult anymore. That's because action creates something called psychological momentum. Once the wheel starts rolling, it becomes easier to keep rolling. But if the wheel stays still, you can stare at it all day. This is the logical trap. We think, I need motivation to start. But the reality is, you need to start to create motivation. In other words, motivation is not the starting fuel. It is the reward of action. So next time when you think, I'm not motivated, try a very simple trick. Don't start the big task. Just start the stupidly small version of it. Want to read a book? Read 1 page. Want to exercise? Do 3 push-ups. Want to work? Work for 2 minutes. It sounds ridiculous, but the strange thing is, 80% of the time, you will continue. Because the biggest barrier for humans is not difficulty, it is starting. So the real question is not, how do I get motivation? The real question is, can you start without motivation?
In reality, motivation usually appears after action begins.
Are you waiting for motivation or waiting forever? There's a very common misunderstanding humans have. We think motivation must come first, and only then do we start taking action. Like saying, I need to feel motivated before I work out. I need to feel inspired before I learn a new skill. I need strong motivation before I start something big. It sounds reasonable, but the problem is your brain doesn't work that way, and that is one of the most human logical errors. Let's look at reality for a moment. How many times have you said, I'll start tomorrow, but tomorrow arrives and the motivation still hasn't shown up? You open your phone, scroll through a few videos, drink another cup of tea, and tell yourself, maybe today isn't the day. And just like that, another day passes. The funny part is that we still believe somewhere in the future there will be a magical moment. You wake up full of energy, full of inspiration, and suddenly feel excited to work hard. That sounds more like a movie than real life. The slightly brutal truth is this. Motivation rarely appears before action. It usually appears after you begin. Think about exercising. On the first day, you almost don't want to do it. Your body feels heavy, your mind feels lazy. But if you force yourself to start and exercise for just 5 minutes, something strange happens. After 5 minutes, you feel a little less lazy. After 10 minutes, your body starts warming up. And after 20 minutes, you think, this isn't so bad. Motivation didn't come first, it appeared while you were doing it. This is how the brain works. When you start taking action, even something very small, the brain receives a signal. Oh, we are doing this now. Then it releases a little dopamine, the chemical that makes you feel progress and achievement. The more you continue, the more dopamine increases, and that feeling you call motivation starts to show up. It doesn't fall from the sky, it is created by action. But humans often do the opposite. We sit and wait for inspiration, wait for the perfect day, and the result is we end up waiting for a very long time. Look at disciplined people. They don't always have motivation. In fact, most of the time they don't feel motivated. But they have one habit. They start anyway, even if it's just a little. A writer writes one paragraph. Someone at the gym does a few exercises. A language learner studies for 10 minutes. They don't ask, do I feel motivated? They ask, how small can I start? And the funny thing is that the people who don't wait for motivation are the ones who seem to have the most motivation, because they create it every single day through action. If you want to try a very simple trick, apply the 2-minute rule. When you don't feel like doing something, studying, working, exercising, don't ask yourself to do it for an hour. Just commit to 2 minutes. Open the document and read for 2 minutes. Do 2 minutes of exercise. Write for 2 minutes. 2 minutes is too small for your brain to resist. But most of the time, after 2 minutes, you'll continue for 5, then 10. And before you realize it, you've already done a good portion of the task. Small actions break the brain's inertia of laziness, and once that inertia is broken, motivation starts following behind. So the next time you think, I'm not motivated, maybe the problem isn't a lack of motivation. Maybe you just haven't started yet. And here's the interesting question. If motivation is actually behind the action, then what exactly are you still waiting for in front of you?
That's why many people get stuck and never take the first step.
Are you waiting to feel confident? Sound familiar? A lot of people say, when I'm more ready, I'll start. It sounds reasonable. It even sounds logical. But this is one of the most common logical mistakes humans make. We believe confidence, then action. But reality works like this: action, then confidence. Let's make it simple. You can't learn to swim by standing on the shore reading books about swimming. You can't become good at talking to people by watching 200 communication videos. And you can't start something big just by preparing forever. But humans love preparing. We buy a new notebook, we make plans, we watch 10 steps to success videos, we save 50 motivational posts. And in the end, we go to sleep. Not because we're lazy, but because our brain is very smart. It hates risk. It hates looking stupid. It hates failing in front of other people. So it creates a very clever trap. The name of that trap is not ready yet. Sounds reasonable, right? Not enough money, not enough experience, not good enough yet, not enough time. It sounds like a plan, but actually it's procrastination wearing a very nice disguise. Here's a slightly harsh truth. No one is ever ready. The person starting a business for the first time? Not ready. The person speaking in public for the first time? Also not ready. The person posting their first video online? Trust me, they're nervous like they're taking a final exam. So what's the difference? They start before they feel ready. Imagine two people. The first person says, I'll start when I'm good enough. The second person says, I'll start so I can become good. After 1 year, the first person is still watching videos about how to start. The second person, they've done it 100 times, failed 50 times, improved 30 times, and become 10 times better. Here's a funny paradox of life. We wait for confidence to start, while confidence only appears after we start. It's like waiting to have muscles before going to the gym. Not logical at all. But our brain still likes to believe it because it helps us avoid risk. There's a great quote. Successful people are not people who feel less fear. They are people who start before the fear disappears. If you pay attention, everyone's first steps look a little silly. The first video is awkward. The first article is clumsy. The first attempt is messy. But that's not a mistake. That's the process. The problem is many people see that awkward beginning and conclude, maybe this just isn't for me. No, you're just at step one. And sadly, a lot of people quit the game right at step one, not because they lack ability, but because they believe in a very dangerous sentence. I'll start when I'm ready. The bad news is, that day almost never comes. The good news is, you don't need that day. You only need one thing. One slightly awkward first step. Not perfect, not impressive, just start. Because the truth is simple. Action creates experience, experience creates confidence, and confidence creates bigger action. Everything begins with one very small step. So the real question isn't, are you ready yet? The real question is, how much longer are you going to wait?